Madam. I rise to speak in support of the demand for grants for railways for the year 2021. As I learned, Madam, the railways revenue for the year 2021 have been estimated at rupees 2,17,460 crores, revenue expenditure at 2,10,899 crores, and the capital expenditure at 2,15,058 crores. Talking about the revenue side first, Madam, there are two primary sources of railways revenue: the freight traffic, the passenger traffic, and the other miscellaneous sources. The freight traffic, as we know, most of the revenue comes from the bulk transport of the coal, followed by iron ore, cement, food grains, and fertilizers. We are largely dependent on the bulk transportation of coal, and slowly and gradually it is decreasing day by day. So, the share of coal, since it is coming down, I want to understand from the Honourable Minister what exactly are we doing to expand our limited freight basket so that we can increase our revenue. Second thing, Madam, the share of the freight traffic, the railway has been constantly losing it to the other modes of transport on account of price competitiveness and the carrying capacity issues. And to some extent, a solution has been found by way of the dedicated freight corridors, because in India, we used to run both the passenger and the freight traffic on the same track. So now we have dedicated freight corridors, and I'm glad the Honourable Minister has announced for the East Coast, the East-West, and the North-South corridors in this year's budget. Another thing, Madam, Railway has a tendency to utilize the profits earned from the freight traffic to compensate for the losses made in the passenger traffic. Here what's important to understand is, sir, that these are COVID times, and now we hear about the third wave of COVID, and we see a fresh series of lockdowns in certain cities of India. And of course, I agree that the vaccination drive has started, and more than 2 crore people in India have been vaccinated. But I want to understand from the Honourable Minister, are you hopeful that the passenger traffic is going to return to the normalcy level in these COVID times? Because we eventually have to be concerned about the losses that we are making in the passenger traffic, which are being compensated by the by the profits that we make in the freight traffic. Another thing, ma'am, coming to the revenue expenditure side, which is proposed to be 2,10,899 crores, 45% of it will be spent on staff wages, 26% on pension fund, and 13% on fuel and electricity. The allocation to the pension fund is estimated to be 53,000 crores, and to the depreciation reserve fund, it has been 800 crores. Sir, what I wish to point out here is that for the past few consecutive years, the appropriation to the pension fund as well as the depreciation reserve fund has been much lesser than what has been allocated in the budget. And especially if you look at the depreciation reserve fund, it is only 800 crores, which is much lower as compared to the value of the overage assets which need to be replaced. So, what I want to understand from the Honourable Minister is, are we going to do the same this year, that we are going to be appropriating less to the pension fund as well as the depreciation reserve fund? So putting everything together, what we need to understand, the core issue is that railway has not been able to create a surplus, generate a surplus, and that is why the capital expenditure which we are targeting at 2,15,058 crores, we will be resourcing most of it from our budget resources from the government and the extra budgetary resources, which is not a very favorable situation, because the more we rely on our extra budgetary resources, the financial situation of the railways is going to worsen. So our operating ratio becoming lower is an important issue, and over the past few years, it has remained more than 90%. So that remains the core issue for railways to be addressed. So I think these are the core issues and the questions which I would want the Honourable Minister to answer. With this, I once again support the demand for grant for the railways for the year 2021-22. Thank you very much, Madam, for giving me the opportunity.